Hi. Nick's asked me to do one of these devotionals, and I've been giving it a lot of thought and praying about it. And finally, Enoch came to mind last night, and we don't know lots about Enoch, but what we do know is that he walked with God and was obviously so close to God. God took him, which is a lovely, a lovely thing. But I was thinking about walking with God, and I love that he's walking with God. He's not striving with God. He's not wrestling with God like Jacob. He's just walking with him, and it made me very much think of God just being with us in the everyday, whatever we're doing. He's there with us, and even when we don't realise it, even when we're not aware of it, the fact is that he's there. It's not us choosing him to be there, he just is there. Um, and, like the followers of Jesus on the road to Emmaus, they didn't realise it was Jesus with them, but when they did, that warmth and the joy that they felt in their hearts was a lovely thing. And it made me think of that Elisha, when his servant was really frightened, and Elisha prayed that God would open the servant's eyes so he could see all these fiery chariots that were there on his side, on their side, and they were well equipped to win the battle because God was there. And I just thought that's so lovely for us to know that, and to know we've got one step beyond that, because we haven't just got God with us, we've got God in us, the Holy Spirit in us. So it's even closer than Elisha could have been, and even closer than Enoch was, because we've got God with us and in us, and it's just a matter of being, aware of it, opening our eyes to it. And there's a lovely book called Practicing the Presence of God, or The Practice of the Presence of God, by this monk called Brother Lawrence. And he's known for how joyful he is, because he's realised that God's with him just as much when he's washing the dishes as he is when he's praying or singing hymns, or actually in a service. He's aware that God's with him all the time. The God that made the universe, the God that made everybody, loves us and is always with us. And the joy that God gave him made him known as such a happy person. And we have that too, and it's just a matter of being able to open our eyes to it and our hearts to it, to know that he's there no matter what. And it made me think of it seems contradictory when Jesus has said to be his follower, we've got to be prepared to pick up our cross and follow him. But he also said that his yoke's easy and his burden is light. And those two things seem contradictory, but I think it must be to do with, it is easier if we know he's with us, and it's not really us who's doing the carrying. It's not really us who's wearing the yoke. It's him with us. And the cross, although so, awful for Jesus, isn't perhaps necessarily suffering. It's maybe just a willingness to say, not my will, but your will, on a daily basis. And like in Revelation 3, where Jesus is standing at the door knocking, I grew up thinking that was him knocking at the heart of somebody who wasn't a Christian, to let him into their hearts. But it's not. It's to the church, and it's to believers, and perhaps it's a daily thing. He's knocking, and just to let him in every day, and to let him guide us every day, him take the reins every day. And when we do, and when we can, then it does make burdens light, and it does make even, the metaphor of carrying the cross lighter, because we've got that joy of knowing we're not carrying it, he's carrying it with us. And that's our Jesus who's carrying it with us, and what a beautiful thing that is. And right now we're all waiting to see people, waiting to be able to hug people again that we love, that we haven't been able to hug for ages, and waiting to see their faces in real life. And it struck me that the end of our journey, the end of our walk with God from this life is seeing his face. And I'm not quite sure how it works, but I'm really hoping hugs are involved somewhere. But that's sort of the end of this journey, but then the start of just eternity with him. And I know it's perhaps not easy for everybody at the moment, but what a lovely, lovely thing that we've got a God that we not just have to worship and serve and, I don't know, it's not, it is all about him, but from his point of view, it's so wonderful and his love so great that it's all about us too, and he's loving us, and we're so blessed. And it's just perhaps sometimes opening our eyes and remembering that, especially if things are a bit hard. So I just wanted to encourage us to feel joyful and to open our eyes and know he's with us and loves us and in us and can help us.